I'm Alan Ing. I was Zorianna Kit, and today we review Werewolves Within. We're just gonna get right into it. Yeah, this is weirdly based on a video game that I've never heard of and never played, and it stars Sam Richardson and the AT&T girl Milana Vayntrub. I think that's how you pronounce it. This is. You were telling me earlier that this is from the writer-director of Scare Me, which we reviewed a couple of weeks ago, and that kind of reminded me of how I felt going through this movie. It to me, the film just felt like, it's a horror comedy, but it doesn't. It just didn't feel like a horror, and it felt like a very light comedy. What are some of your thoughts about Werewolves Within?
Josh Ruben as a filmmaker with Scare Me, and now with Werewolves Within. I mean, maybe this is his comedic style, or filmic style rather, where he. Horror comedy might be kind of his thing, his preferred genre. But when you think of a horror comedy, you always know that you're never going to be too scared. The horror part is never going to be too gory. It's never going to be too inappropriate. If you're squeamish, it's not going to affect you in that way. And that's precisely what this movie was. The video game concept is basically people gathered around in the small town around a campfire, and one of the players is actually a werewolf. And through a series of questions and answers and deductions, you have to figure out which one of you in this game is the werewolf. And so this is sort of the same thing where, Ranger arrives at a small town. The mailman, who's a male woman, shows him around, and in that process introduces us to all the key players, who then, on the night of a snowstorm, gather at this bed and breakfast place. And, there's some weirdness. There's some body counts that start piling up, and they realize that one of them is probably a werewolf, and they need to kind of keep each other in check and keep an eye out on each other and protect each other simultaneously, so that the werewolf doesn't keep striking as the body count keeps going up.
Yeah. I tend to scare easy at horror films. I just wasn't that scared with this one, and I think that's my problem with the film is I wanted to at some point feel scared, or at least an attempt to do that, and I felt like they were just using, like in Scare Me, just very camera tricks and film drama to try to do that, and I wasn't having it, and then the comedy wise, we've got two very likable leads here in Sam Richardson and Milana, and they're the normal people, and they're in this town with crazy, wacky townsfolk, and it just felt very tropey at this moment. They're weird, and I don't know. I really wanted to love this movie, and I just felt like I wasn't. I wanted more out of it, and I wasn't getting it.
I enjoyed the ride. I didn't have any big expectations for it. It is very much an indie movie. Sam Richardson, he's on the show Veep, and he's hilarious in that. And he plays basically a similar type of character here, that kind of, helpful, bumbling, kind of nerdy guy. And I loved his character on Veep. So it was fun for me to watch him take me through this film. There were no high hopes, but it was a delightful, for lack of a better word, it was a delightful movie to kind of sit through. It was very, not trite, but like it was a very light, it's a very light comedy. Like you said, you're not going to get big laughs.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get, it's not so much you're going to get laughs from a scenario or a particular scare. I think you're going to get the laughs from watching a lot of comedic actors enjoy themselves on the screen, because they're having fun, and that's what makes you kind of feel like you're having fun watching them have fun.
Yeah, sometimes in movies, I just want something to remember, something that just leaps out on the screen, and I just wasn't there. Maybe the ending reveal, which not overly unpredictable, But there are things that you just want to say about a movie afterwards and say, hey, see this movie because there's this moment or that moment or this moment. And I felt like I was getting a lot of the same. Don't get me wrong, it's a likable movie. I love the cast. Michaela Watkins is in it. The crazy scientist. But there's got to be more. There's got to be more.
Yeah, but Alan, you hate horror movies. You and I are never going to review The Conjuring as much as I would love to, because you don't like that horror type. So this movie is made for people like you.
Well, but it should scare people like me. That's the problem. Just because it's tame and I can handle it doesn't mean, if you're going to force me to see a horror, then scare me. Make me cry. I've definitely been in that place where I'm just freaked out and crying. And give me that, or at least give me a movie like just gives me a steady supply of laughs. At least 3 big ones, and I think I got one big one in this one near the end. And so likable. You might enjoy it, but it's kind of in the middle there. So clearly you like this movie a lot more than I did. So you like the cast, fun film. So I'm gonna guess you gave it a 7.
Yeah, I mean, liked it, not loved it. Like you said, there's no one memorable scene that makes you grab onto it. But from the second the movie starts till it ends, it's an enjoyable ride. It is a fun, light, delightful experience with some familiar comedic faces, and that to me, 7 is just fine. I don't think you liked it as much as I did, but I think you and I are in agreement about some of the same things that made us kind of dock points in our minds for this film. So you either gave it a 7, or went down to 6.5.
Yeah, I gave it a 6. You know what? It's fun. There's nothing inherently negative about it. I wasn't bored. I wasn't rolling my eyes. But at the same time, as filmmakers, I wish, when you're making a film, I wish filmmakers would think of a moment, 3 moments maybe, that we as an audience are going to remember about your movie. That's going to set it apart from other movies and say, this is the reason I'm telling this story, as opposed to, it's a video game, it's got a good idea, here's my story behind it. Give me something that's going to stand out. And to me, that will get you, do it once, that'll get you to 7. Do it 3 times, that'll probably get you to an 8. So I've made this a science now. I'm counting moments.
Okay. Filmmakers, if you're listening, this is what Alan needs. If you want a minimum 8 out of 10 on your review.
That's right. 3 memorable moments, you'll get an 8 from me. Okay. So with that, be sure to support Film Threat as we support independent films. You can do that by liking, subscribing, and commenting below on what you thought of Werewolves Within. And with that, let's get out of here.